Hey folks, Machinery Pete here. We're looking at a very nice tractor up for sale tomorrow, June 7th, 2012, on an online farm auction in Bloomer, Wisconsin by Hanson & Young Auctioneers. Now this is a John Deere 4455 mechanical front, 1987 model with only 3,500 hours on it, and it's a power shift. So let's go to Hanson & Young website, which is just Hanson, S-E-N, hansonandyoung.com, and you can see here is the auction tomorrow, June 7th. It ends at noon Central Time. You can see here it's for Scott and Kim. I guess I'm not going to try and pronounce the last name there, but just a farm auction. So if we click here, we can see the equipment, and here's our John Deere 4455 with the specs on it, 3,500 hours, very low. You can see current bid a day in advance of the ending time here, 37.5 already. Now most of the bidding action, of course, on an online auction comes in the last day, last few hours, so it'll be very interesting to see what we wind up with here tomorrow. Now, of course, John Deere 4455s have been one of the hottest items the last 7-8 years on the used equipment market. So we're back in our website, machinerypete.com right now, and this information is from our calculator, which crunches an average auction price. And you can see here through the years, now John Deere 4455s, you can see so far this year, 2012, average price $43,844, and last year at $38,400. So if you go back 10 years, you can see average auction price was $35,871. So again, the last, since 2004, basically, you can see how we've had rising values on these John Deere 4455s. Now, some other nice equipment on the sale tomorrow. Here's a list of equipment on the sale. This is in our upcoming auction database at our machinerypete.com website. You can see the list of equipment. Here's our 4455. But a couple other items on the sale tomorrow. We've got a couple nice ATVs, Polaris 500s. We have a low-houred John Deere X324 garden tractor with only 109 hours on it. Late model round baler, 468 John Deere. Let's see, we also have a nice 2004 Case IH DCX 161 disc bind. Also a low-hour John Deere 4450. So again, a nice sale, and it's an online auction. Again, hansonandyoung.com. Now, a while back, I stopped in at their office in Wisconsin there, and paid a visit to Roger, Bryce, and Barry Hanson, and learned a little bit more about these online auctions they have. Hey folks, Machinery Pete here, and today I'm in Prairie Farm, Wisconsin, and I'm visiting a very progressive auction company, Hanson & Young. And we've got on our right here Roger Hanson, and then sons Barry and Bryce. Now guys, well, thanks for having me out first of all, but of all the auction companies in the U.S. and Canada I've worked with, you guys are right on the cutting edge of developing online auctions. So why don't you guys tell me about kind of how this got started for you guys?
Go ahead, Dad. You can tell the
Pop, you take it. You take it. Now, Roger, you got started in the business what year?
It was about 1988. By the way, thanks for coming out here too as well. Yeah, we started in 1988, and we operated a conventional auction company for quite a few years there.
Okay.
And then about
and your partner was Erlen?
Erlen Young.
Okay.
Yeah. It was my brother-in-law.
Okay.
And he has since retired about 2 years ago.
Sure.
But then I've got these two hombros along here, and they're just keeping everything active. And for an old man, he can't hardly keep up anymore.
Well,
but,
that's pretty cool. Now, again, how many online auctions did you guys have last year, were you telling me?
Somewhere around 130, 140.
Holy smokes. And your guys' website, again, it's hansonandyoung.com?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, again, now tell me, when did the online auction start for you guys?
It was about 3 years ago in August that we did our first one.
Okay.
And we never looked back since then. We did do a few live auctions since that, but we keep leaning more and more towards online only.
So summer of '08, man, that was really cutting edge for online auctions. What pushed you guys into going down that road?
And that was an online auction that we did on a yogurt manufacturing company. But we had done the simulcast prior to that. For quite a few years, we had done the live and simulcast, and then that was the first time we did online only bidding platform. So, but we had a yogurt manufacturing company, just a small one on a farm that did their own manufacturing of yogurt, and so it was a product that we knew we had to market out a little bit further.
And kind of a specialty item there, yeah.
Yep. And so Dad actually managed that sale, and you can tell a little bit about that too, Dad.
Well, maybe I don't want to. I was when we were going to close that one the night I was closing that, I was out fishing, and Bryce called me and asked me if I was watching the sale.
What were you doing out fishing there, Pop?
Well, I tell you what, I got to get away, get a little break once in a while. I got to let the boys catch up.
You weren't afraid of how this online sale was going to turn out, and decided to go fishing instead, huh?
I have to admit, I forgot. You know, and at my age now, you can get away with that a little bit.
So you called Bryce, and
he called me to tell me about it. Yeah, and I asked him how it was going, and he kind of led me out a little bit and said things were bringing in at $300 to $600 on the major items, which they should have been $3,000 to $4,000 or $6,000, you know. And then before it was over, he said, "No, Dad, really, they're at $3,000 and $6,000 a piece." So
you were pulling the old man's leg a little bit there, huh, Bryce? That's good. So that very first sale was successful online, and you guys kind of haven't looked back, huh?
It has been.
Majority of that went to Georgia, so we knew we were on to something that was effective, and it worked.
And is that the main benefit, as you guys see it, of the online auction, is just the marketing reach is so much bigger?
It is a lot larger marketing reach, but I would say this, as far as progressive as we are and aggressive as we are in the online bidding side of things, our marketing department is not something that's seen by the public, but that's going to be on the cutting edge as well. I mean, that one was 3-4 years ago, but we utilize a lot of technology and internet for marketing those items, and that's how we got those bidders. And like you say, that was mainly went to Georgia, but there's bidders, a lot of bidders from New York and California. And another example was just a couple months ago, we had 3 robotic milkers that we sold, and those were here in Wisconsin, just a few miles away.
What is one of those generally? I mean, what are they worth? What have they been going for?
Well, they've never been sold on auction on a secondary market that we are known of in the world, as far as we know. But we took those and we marketed them. There again, the marketing department was on the cutting edge. We got exposure all over the world. We had calls and emails from all over Canada, United States, and European markets. So that did its job. The marketing department did that. Like I say, that's one of the more aggressive marketing departments, utilizing technology and internet, and those ended up going to. We had bidders registered all over the United States and Canada.
Correct.
And they went to 3 different provinces in Canada.
Really? Wow.
And values those. He paid. What did he pay a couple of years ago on those?
Well, I do believe even now that the basic unit is somewhere in the $130,000 to $150,000. And I believe these averaged about $112,000 a piece.
112. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, right up pushing that 130. Yeah, that's awesome. We'll talk about the mindset of changing from the old traditional. Well, I don't want to say old, but just the traditional auction method of, you know, sale day. Everyone's here on site. And now, I mean, now everyone's doing it through the internet, just placing a bid anonymously. Was that hard to let go, so to speak, of that old model, or was it? What was that transition like?
You know, I was doing the traditional method longer than these guys, but I really didn't find that hard to let go, because I just felt that this was so much more of an advantage to the seller, because we are finding that prices are typically 10 to 30% higher on the online.
10 to 30% higher?
Correct.
Across the board on everything you sell?
Yeah, you'll see that variation. I mean, you know, an auction is the same all over. You have your highs and lows, but it just seems generally to do that. And I just could see that. To me, it looked like it was a clear thing to do. And one of the things that we have always taken pride in is that we feel that it's so important to represent the equipment right.
Right.
And we want people to bid without seeing it. And if you're going to do that, you have to represent it right, or take care of them if it's not. But that is the thing that has been the basis of our business from start, is that, you know.
So if the tractor has issues, say it has issues.
Say it has issues, that's right. And that way we don't have, then they bid with confidence, knowing that if we don't have anything that says anything about it, they know that it's okay. You know, the other thing Bryce was just mentioning about sitting with the sellers, you know, the one thing about it is you think, well, how can these online auctions be exciting? Well, I'll tell you what, if you're either selling or you're buying, I guarantee you it's exciting.
That adrenaline is flowing.
Yes, and it's fun to sit with those sellers when they
Sure.
get to see how things are coming right down, and we're there. We a lot of times sit with them right to the end. So.
And you guys, again, you're saying you've had people that have gone through the process, and I suppose you kind of have to coach them, like, you know, this online, just trust us. The online is a great method. And then when it comes out in a very successful sale, they must have interesting reactions at that point.
They do, and that's one of the things we have to coach them, because, like we talked about before, a lot of the bids do take place in the last day,
Right.
last hours.
Right.
We've had it. One piece of real estate was $27,000
Right.
at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and at 1 o'clock when it closed, was scheduled to close. It went to extended bidding,
Okay.
but it was. That particular auction, the sale price of that property closed at about $800,000. So
27,000 to 800,000
there
a
was a lot of
day.
increase during
That's
that
a little
day.
movement.
That seller was happy.
Now you can't say that's not exciting.
Oh, that's very exciting. That's and what about the process now, Barry? You were telling me before, or I think we were talking about just the work of going out to take all the pictures. And, you guys have a crew that handles this, or how many people?
We got 4 to 6 that we send out, but
Okay.
it depends on the size of the sale.
Sure.
And they go out, catalog it, picture it, get the details.
It must be really important to get a lot of good pictures.
It details everything, and that's
Yeah.
what builds your bidder confidence.
Right.
If the more detail you have, the more confident they are, and if it has a problem, you state it's got a problem.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
So that guy sitting in Iraq can feel confident looking at that motorcycle. Huh?
Yeah.
And what kind of motorcycle was that, by the way? You
I
remember?
think that was a Harley Sportster, if I remember right.
I think it
A
was.
Harley Sportster. Oh, that's pretty cool.
We're also selling some dairy cattle now as well.
Really?
Online only.
Okay.
We were just out and took some pictures yesterday of that.
This would be the third sale, third herd.
Okay. Selling cattle online auction. Would you ever thought you'd be into that? Well, there was no internet probably when you started back in the 80s, huh, Roger?
Well, you know, and the boys just told me that there's some now. I didn't realize that at my age, you know. Yeah, no, there was no. There was internet. We did have a website. We was one of the first ones. Bryce brought us into a website right away. So.
Well, Hanson and Young, you guys have always been cutting edge here, and I've been a fan of how you've developed your online sales. And again, the website, Bryce, for folks to go check out.
It's HansonandYoung.com, and if you just Google Hanson and Young, it'll pop up. It's